Welcome back to How to Feel Better. I'm Liz, and in our last episode, you met Larry, my friend little Larry the lizard, that unconscious part of your brain that's been making decisions without your permission. Today, we're diving into the first part of my Think framework, which is going to give you the tools to catch Larry in action and start deliberately choosing your thoughts instead of letting them choose you. We're going to cover the T and the H of think, understanding how your thoughts create your feelings and discovering who you need to become to get the results you want. This is where the real work begins, but it's also where the magic happens. By the end of this episode, you'll have a completely different relationship with your thoughts. Are you ready? Because let's go. The Think, Plan, Equals Prosper framework. In as little as 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes each morning to set intentions and shift into your chosen identity, and then 5 minutes each evening to reflect, reset, and replan. You'll master the habit of feeling better no matter your circumstances. And then there is a little diagram which simply has think with upgrade your operating system, shift your identity, plus plan, decide ahead of time and plan for both success and failure, equals prosper, choose joy over immediate pleasure and love life. Think, master your mental game. Think is the first part of my framework, and it's where we get to identity shift, really become the version of us we desire. Think is an acronym that breaks down the essential elements of mental mastery. I came up with Think on the back of my horse Vinny because I was literally going around and around in circles getting nowhere. Nothing was improving, changing. I was simply getting caught up in a cycle of despair. I used to say to myself when training him, why can't you think what to do? And hence, Think was born. I created it and discovered it the hard way, and now I can share it with you to accelerate your progress. What I discovered in those frustrating circles is something that changes everything. We may say we desire something, but our thoughts and beliefs are often conflicting against that. That's why we haven't achieved it. For example, you might consciously want to lose weight, but your unconscious thoughts are saying, I always fail at diets, or I don't deserve to be thin, or healthy food is boring. Those conflicting beliefs create internal resistance that sabotages your efforts every single time. Or you want to grow your business, but Larry's telling you you're not good at sales. Or successful people are different from you. Or you just don't know enough yet. What I was doing on Vinny was desiring to ride and train him for the Grand Prix, but my belief was that I wasn't good enough and I didn't know what I was doing. And that's why the endless circles carried the feeling of defeatedness. And here's what tends to happen when we are in this cycle. We don't even set goals to pursue because we're so used to failing. We've tried before. Larry reminds us we failed. So we think, why even bother? I'll just fail again. So we avoid setting goals altogether to avoid that disappointment. With this framework, we set ourselves up for change, for growth, for expansion, and ultimately prosperity in all things. We stop Larry running the show and start consciously choosing who we are becoming. When your identity, thoughts, and goals are aligned, action becomes natural rather than forced. It gives us a way to become aware of what we think and feel and then make decisions. So let's break this down. T is for thoughts, understanding the pattern. Let's start with what's actually creating your feelings. Most people think their circumstances, facts, create their feelings. Your boss makes you angry. Your bank account makes you stressed. Your body makes you insecure. But here's the reality. Facts don't cause feelings. Your thoughts about those facts do. Thoughts are just sentences inside your head. Here's something that might surprise you. You could think you're thinking really powerfully about building your business, losing weight, or learning a new language. But if you haven't lost the weight, made money in your business, or mastered those language skills, then that actually isn't the sentence inside your brain that you're using. What you're really using is something Larry has locked down, an old pattern. And we know this because if it truly was the thought you were thinking, you would have the results to prove it. So how it actually works. Circumstances are just neutral facts. Your business made 50K last year. Your spouse said that thing. You weigh what you weigh. All neutral. Thoughts, the sentences you think. These are your opinions. I'm behind where I should be, or I'm building something amazing. Feelings come from those thoughts, not the circumstances. Your actions are driven by your feelings and will be action, inaction, or reaction to the way you feel. And then the results. Well, the results come from your actions and are evidence of your thought. So here's how we know that is true. Take any circumstance in your life, your revenue, your relationship status, whatever it is. Now I just want you to think about it differently. Notice immediately how your feelings can change in an instant. Same circumstance, different thought, different feeling. Here's an example of what I mean. Take woman A. She's making $3,000 a month thinking, oh, this isn't enough. So she feels defeated. The action she takes is half-hearted. Whereas woman B is also making $3,000 a month. But she's thinking, I'm building something incredible. And she feels determined. So she is taking massive action. Same circumstances, completely different feelings. The key distinction, mind versus external world. You absolutely need to know the difference between what's happening in your mind and what's happening in the external world. Most of us don't. We think what's going on in our mind is what's going on in the world. We're constantly exhausting ourselves trying to manipulate what's out there, trying to get the right job, the right body, the right amount of money, clients, and believing that if we could just control all that external stuff, we'd feel better. Here's the reality. None of that outside stuff controls how we feel. What you think about those things determines how you feel. When you understand this distinction, you stop being a victim of your circumstances and begin to become the creator of your experience. How? But it's really who. Everyone asks, how do I do this? But the how is never the problem. The who is, because we never know the how until we have done it. Who you're being determines what actions you take. Who you're being determines what opportunities you see. Who you're being determines what results you create. The person who's being a victim will often ask, why is this happening to me? The person who's being a creator asks, how is this happening for me? The person who's being scattered tries to do everything. The person who's being focused does one thing until it's done. The person who's being desperate chases every opportunity. The person who's being confident attracts the right opportunities. Here's the key. The who you need to be will not ask the same questions as the who is stuck, confused, lost, or procrastinating. Stop asking, how do I get clients? And start asking, who do I need to be to have clients lining up to work with me? Stop asking how to lose weight and start asking, who do I need to be to naturally take care of my body? When you understand that you are in control, things change. How, therefore, isn't a list of tactics. It's not a strategy. It's who you're becoming. Identity drives behavior. Behavior drives results. You can't outperform the way you think, so you choose who you are on purpose and act from there. The shift happens when you start embodying your future self before you have the results. Here's a powerful exercise I created to make this concrete and actionable. Meet your future self. This isn't about fake it till you make it strategies. They don't work. It's about getting crystal clear on who you need to become, then making decisions, creating thoughts from that identity, and that can start today. Meet future you exercise. So again, I'm just going to remind you that if you really want to start to feel better, if you really want to change what you've currently got, do the exercises. So I've got another little saying: when you do the work works. So the exercise is on page 23 in your guide, but I'll read through it. Meet future you exercise. Who do you need to be? What do you want to have? Why does that matter? Write it like it's already true. I am. Why this matters to me. How I show up today. The three thoughts you're going to use that you know that new identity you want to create, that future you would be thinking. And here's a clue: you don't think them today. Belief upgrade is the next exercise. Belief upgrade from to. Larry's beliefs and old patterns into your own new future you's chosen patterns. So we want to go through current Larry's beliefs. So remember, a belief is simply a sentence. A sentence is a thought. A thought that becomes a belief is something you have thought hundreds of thousands of times. Doesn't mean it's true. So you want to find some of those current Larry beliefs that have got you trapped in your current state. And then you want to imagine what your future me belief would be. And I want you to remind you, belief is what creates proof. You act, then the evidence appears. It's never the other way around, which is why when we're waiting, it doesn't work. We have to do. And then we run it through the who filter, because every decision will run through this line from now on. Would future me do this? If yes, do it now. If no, don't negotiate. So my non-negotiables dailies, and I want you to come up with 3 of them. Then the next exercise is the if then plays, because here's what's really important. When we pre-decide our moves ahead of time, then Larry gets shoved out the door, out of the driver's seat and back into the back end of the bus, right? So Larry really thrives in undecided moments when you're a little bit shaky, because he can take over again. So what we want to do is we want to make decisions ahead of time. And this exercise is designed for that. So we Larry proofing your if then action plan. So if I feel, for example, resistance. I know I got to do something, but I don't want to do it. So I'm resisting doing it, right? Then we make a decision. So from now on, if I feel resistance, then I start a 10-minute timer and begin. Now we say 10 minutes because I find that if you can just, even if it's 5 minutes, if you can just start the thing, you'll end up doing the thing. So, because something always leads somewhere, nothing always leads nowhere. Another example, if I catch myself scrolling, then I close the app, take one action that will move me forward. And for me, I can just go, if I catch myself scrolling, I close the app. And that's usually enough, because then I am going to get back into future me and get back to work. If I hear do it later, then I actually do the smallest step now. So the way we do this is if, then. Make it work for you. And then language shifting. This one's pretty important and it sounds pretty trivial, but it can make all the difference in the way you feel. And remember, this whole thing is all about improving how we feel. So Larry may say, I'll try. I don't know. I'm not ready. But future you will never say that, right? Because future you wants to create what you want to create, whether that be build your business, lose some weight, tone your body up, ride to the Grand Prix. He wants things. So he's going to be thinking, I decide. I'm figuring it out. I'm ready enough. And so we're going to become aware of every time you say, I'll try, we're going to replace that with, I'll do X by Y time. So if I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'll try a new exercise today on my horse, I'll go, no, I'm going to do a serpentine on Leo today at 3 p.m. That is fixed. I've made a decision. That's what future me would do. Or I don't know. Well, guys, I don't know gives your brain to go on holiday to Hawaii and drink pina coladas and do nothing. So we don't ever want to give our brain an excuse to do nothing because our brain, when we direct it, is incredibly resourceful. So when we say to ourselves, I don't know, catch it, stop it, and then say, I'm figuring it out by doing X. So if it's, I don't know how to build a landing page. Immediately find yourself, oh yeah, I've just thought that thing. No, I'm figuring out how to build a landing page by watching a quick YouTube tutorial on it, for example. What if I fail? Well, it's inevitable. So whenever we think that and we have a negative feeling about it, which is why we're not setting goals, which is why we're not moving forward, what do we want to do? We want to go, what I learn will make me unstoppable or something similar. What if I fail? Well, what if I learn and it makes me unstoppable? Now, I often will also go, because I'm very much wired for what if I fail? I now go, what if I fail? What if I don't? Or what if I fail? Well, I'm supposed to. That's how I learn. So I'm always now interrupting Larry's patterns to create the new feelings that I want. It's really important. Now, the final exercise for these two letters is the quick identity rehearsal. Usually takes about 2 minutes. And you can do this at any time during the day. And if this work is fairly new to you, this will be something you want to anchor in very, very, very regularly. I still use it all the time. So lock in future you with micro practice so you don't just think about it, you start to embody it daily. So the first step is visualization. So I want you to close your eyes and picture future you finishing the day proud, seeing yourself having kept your promises, handled obstacles, and showing up exactly as you wanted. Then step two, say it out loud or in your head. Complete the sentence. I am future you identity. Today I do one specific thing future you would do. So an example, I am a calm and consistent coach. Today I follow through on one sales conversation. Then step three, we do it. So this is where I help a lot of people who know what they should be doing but can't seem to get themselves to do it. This is part of that break. This is part of the chain that we need to physically open up and create differently from. So the step three is do it. Immediately take one visible, countable action that aligns with future you. Something you can tick off and say, yay, I did it. So here is an example that I would walk through. So step one, the version of you who finishes proud. Step two, I am a calm, confident coach, or I am a consistent rider. Today, I get on my horse even when Larry tells me not to. And that way, if I've just said that, then my step three would be do it right now. My step three would be to open up my calendar and put that 3 p.m. activity in there so that I honor it. And it's really, really important that we do that work, because when we do that work, what then happens is that we are able to really, really anchor it in and feel it, grow it, develop it, change it so it becomes something that, I don't know about you guys, but I know I'm on the right track when I go to bed feeling satisfied, when I go to bed feeling proud of myself, because I didn't in my past, right? I was never proud of what I'd done. And that to me makes life so much more enjoyable and immediately changes how I feel. So, I hope that was useful, because honestly, for me, this thinking and thought management and how to be a better version of you is huge. Because hopefully, from this, you now understand that your thoughts do, in fact, create your feelings. It's never about the circumstances. And when you meet the future you exercise, you learn how to start embodying that person that you want to become before you have the results. So, in our next episode, we're going to complete the Think framework with the 3 I's that will keep you aligned and motivated, plus the N and the K that will stop you from negotiating with your excuses. And excuses are just stories you keep telling yourself that are very, very believable, but they're preventing you. This is also where we really start building your mental immunity to Larry. The person you're becoming is already inside of you. We're just going to help them learn to show up more consistently. So I will see you in the next episode.